Hi, ladies. Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have every one of us here. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please let me see the emojis.
Hi, ladies. Good evening.
If you can hear me, please let me see the emojis. And I would like to know where we are all joining in from. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Okay, if you can hear me, let me see the emojis and I would like to know where we are all joining in from. We'll be starting soon. Let's just give others a few minutes to join us. Okay. I can see someone is joining in from Lagos, Port Harcourt. Hi, Amara. Abuja, Ifoma, you're in my city. Wow. It's like somebody says she's joining from YouTube. It's like we have so many Port Harcourts. We have so many PH City ladies with us. That's good. Let's go, Lagos. Okay. Oh, I've seen two people in my city. We should link up. I'm in Abuja. All right. Welcome, ladies. I know we are all here and we are expecting to learn a whole lot from our facilitator today. And believe me, we won't disappoint. Right? Right? Okay. All right. So this event today is it's very important because I'm very sure that most of us it's either we have businesses or we are employees, so we definitely have to talk to one or two people every single day, right? So today's class would give us more insights on how to communicate well. Communication is not just about talking, but it's more of talking and listening, right? So today's event would throw more light on how to communicate and make sure we are communicating well. Okay, so I don't want to talk too much. I'm going to pass the mic to Ayomide. Ayomide is our host for today. Hi, Ayomide. Hi, Ayomide. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, Academy Director. I can hear you clearly, loud, clear, and beautifully well. Okay, so I'll say you've done a beautiful job making the community quite lively because I can see the session, look at the comment chat, and I'm seeing everybody get hyped and pumped already, right? So like Anne said, welcome again. We are here for serious business and we are here to know about the role of communication as a woman and how it can be beneficial to you. So, I'm really excited once more, and I would just like to chip in that we stay all through the ride because drum rolls. Okay, because we would be having a feedback form sent to you, and you will have access to getting badges after this by filling up certain questions to give you a badge to confirm that you are a communicationist, right? Exactly. So going straight to the point, I'll just prefer like to introduce Marigold. Her name is Marigold Okoye, and she has been in this business for over 5 years. She's a communication analyst, and she is really, really awesome at her job. So, you know how communication is very important to your day to day life. You go to work, you speak to people daily. You cannot be in a work environment or a tech space without knowing how to properly communicate your feelings to people. So Marigold is going to take you on a journey on how communicating as a woman is important, but also the role of emotional intelligence in properly communicating so that bless me so that what you are trying to pass off across is properly seen and noticed. So i hope you guys I hope you guys are pumped already. Are you all pumped like I am? Oh, sweet. Oh, awesome. So, okay. I can see that people are already pumped, and that I'm very happy for that. Okay. So, just to affirm, Marigold, are you here anytime soon?
Okay, so before Marigo joins us, Ayomide said something about us
Okay.
getting a badge, right? So would be sharing an attendance form, and we encourage every one of you to fill that form, and make sure that you fill in the right information, because everyone that gets to fill the form would receive the everyone that gets to fill the form would receive the quiz, and it's with that quiz you would stand a chance to earn yourself a badge that says, yes, Ifeoma Eze is a communication expert, or Ifeoma
Yay!
a professional communication tech trailer. Okay, so please, I'll drop the link soon. Please, I expect every one of us to feel it. Right, are we ready? Are we ready? I'm not seeing that excitement though. When you show me the excitement, right, when you show the excitement, that is when we can go on. But if you are not showing the excitement, we'll stay here. I will ask you plenty questions, and you will find a way to answer me. Are we ready? Are we ready to move on? Like, are we ready?
Someone even put in yes, please, just now to show how ready they are.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Hi, Mary Good. Are you here? Okay, so if you're ready, I want you to invite your friends, invite your sisters, invite your colleagues, invite your neighbors, invite everyone you know around you that really needs this. Tell them something beautiful is going on, so you get to share so encourage you to share the event link with them, so they can join this event too, because of course there is love in sharing, and because there is love in sharing, we're encouraging each and every one of you to share this and give others a chance to also learn something that will be beneficial to them. Right. So I'm passing the mic back again. Please, Ayomide, beg me not to take this mic from you. I'm passing the mic once
Never.
more to Ayomide.
Never. I really like it when Anne speaks. She has a very calming voice. I admire. So, straight off, as you can see, the awesome, beautiful facilitator. Her name is Marigold Okoye, and she's a corporate communication trainer for tech professionals, startup founders, solopreneurs, and business owners. And she focused on, like, most professionals focus on technical skills, but everybody knows that technical skills cannot make you be good alone. Like, only technical skills is not a solid proof to increasing your should I say your skill level, to also helping you progress in the workspace or workforce as we have it. So, um, I would not want to do the introduction before the facilitator herself starts introducing herself, because there's this adage that says that when the queen steps into the building, everybody else becomes a flaw. So, hi, queen, are you ready? Okay, so while she clears up her throat, drinks the warm coffee, and also the balm for her throat, because she's going to wow us today, like I said, let us make it up. Keep a cheer, keep screaming, keep shouting, use all your emojis, use everything to properly introduce Marigold Okoye. Hi, Marigold. Marigold, just to confirm, can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Hello.
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Hi, Marigold.
Hi. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mide. How you doing?
I'm fine. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and so this is a special shout out to everyone listening to me tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. And it's so awesome to, know that women in tech are ready to change their communication style. Okay, I also want to say a very big thank you to Mrs. Anne. She's one of the most loveliest persons I've met. I wouldn't even lie about that. She's an awesome person, right? So I don't know, Mrs. Anne, if you can hear this, this is me saying thank you. Thank you for having me today. Thank you, Mide, for your effort, right? And then to everybody listening to me today, thank you very much. Okay, so let's go right into what we have to do for today. My name is Marigold Okoye. I am a corporate communications trainer for tech professionals, startup founders, business owners, and solopreneurs. All right. So I know a lot of people will be wondering, why did you choose this particular niche? Why are you not a communications trainer for everybody? Well, the truth is, you find a problem and you create awesome solutions, right? And then noticing that many tech professionals actually struggle to communicate in a virtual world and in a male dominated work environment, it becomes a problem that someone has to take up the mantle to help them see the light, right? In how being able to communicate effectively can actually change your career as an entrepreneur, right? As an entrepreneur, basically. Okay, so like I said here, most professionals focus on technical skills, but technical skills alone doesn't translate to a balanced career life. Okay, so it means that there's a career life and then there's a balanced career life. Okay, a balanced career life is where you are happy, you are flourishing, and you are giving your best apparently, because if you are in a toxic work environment, or probably you are someone who has been relegated to the background because you find it difficult to express yourself, then it's not a balanced career life. Actually, you're just doing it because you need the money. It's not like you are really happy with what you're doing. Okay, so I offer personalized one-to-one corporate communications training for individuals and brands. Okay, so this is it about me. Tonight is not about me, it's about communication. So, Mide, if you are there, please help me go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so our table of content for today is what is communication, what is corporate communication, common challenges in tech communication, and then emotional intelligence and what it is. Basically, our webinar today is focusing on emotional intelligence. Okay, the truth is, when you are working with people, you are prone to meet people from different walks of life, people from different experiences, and people who have encountered different bosses that has changed the way they relate with people. Okay, so emotional intelligence is that thing that sets you apart. Okay, it is the one ingredient you need as a professional to be able to survive in a competitive work environment. Okay, so we're going to be looking at key components of emotional intelligence in tech communication. Then we'll also be looking at strategies for developing emotional intelligence. Okay, so apparently our course for tonight is packed. I hope you are ready, and if you are ready like I'm ready, Mide, please can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so this is our course objective, right? This is what I hope we get out of this webinar. So by the end of this webinar, you should be able to understand what communication and what corporate communication is. Okay, you should know what the common challenges in tech communication are, have a clear understanding of what emotional intelligence is, identify key components of emotional intelligence in tech communication. You should also be familiar with practical strategies for developing emotional intelligence. All right. So it's not just going to be talk, 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 and talk. We're actually going to have a practical section where you would see some scenarios and what to do if you are in that position. All right. So, Mide, can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. All right, so we are in the cream of the crux, right? So basically, what is communication? As individuals, what we do every day is communication. Now, you can either communicate verbally or non-verbally, but in the context of what we are learning today, communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, or messages between individuals or groups. Okay, so it means that it can either be um, one person to one person, that's two persons having a conversation, or it can be among group of people. All right, just like how we are having this webinar now, it's a conversation. We are communicating. Okay, it's just that I'm the one at the speaking part and you are listening. All right. Now, I said here that communication is at the core of everything we do as professionals. It means that however you want to be perceived, however you want to be seen, however you want to be valued, whatever you are projecting, you are doing that via communication. So you are either doing that via your disposition, which is your composure, how you carry yourself, or you are doing that by the things you permit, right? Because sometimes your body disposition can communicate that you are allowing certain things, and people would definitely take advantage of those things if your disposition permits it. Okay, now I said here that communication controls how you are perceived, valued, and rewarded. Okay, because whatever you are learning, whatever technical skill you are learning it for a reward. Okay, it can be societal recognition, it can be financial reward, of which we go to work either virtually or physically, and then we need a reward, which is our monthly salary, our bonuses, and every other financial attachment that comes with working in an environment. Okay, now communication plays a key role in your personal brand building and value proposition marketing. At the end of every career you are chasing, you are building a personal brand. Okay, and this personal brand will either be appreciated or devalued based on how you communicate. And sometimes this communication can actually come through the things you put out on social media. But let's not go so far so that we can cover a lot before our time gets elapsed. Okay. Now we have the communication process. Everything has a process. There's a process to life. There's day and night. Communication also has a process of which sometimes we do not even know. So let me break it down for us so that we understand. This is like a building foundation to what we are going to be learning, which is emotional intelligence and the rest. Now, the communication process includes the sender. Okay, now the sender is the person who initiates the message or opens the communication channel, right? So if you have a message in your head or you pick up your phone, somebody annoyed you and you want to just send out that thing that is going on in your heart, you are called the sender in the communication process because you are the one that is sending the message out to the person. All right. Now, communication always begins with someone initiating it. Okay. So whoever initiates the communication is called the sender. All right. Now, whether it is verbal or written, so whether you are calling the person over the phone or you are sending a text message, if you start up a conversation, you are called the sender. Now we have encoding. All right. I know that some of us are in the code space, so we know what encoding is. Now, encoding simply means turning thoughts into a message. Okay. However, you're feeling, either you're trying to pass your emotion or you're trying to pass a message, maybe tomorrow's job or a task you need to do. But that process is called encoding. All right. So each time you think about an information or an emotion and you want to pass it across to someone, the process of documenting those thoughts is called encoding. Okay. Because you are encoding your feelings, your thoughts, your expression into words and you are sending it out to whoever is going to receive it. Okay, so I hope this is clear. But since I can't get a feedback, I need Mide to please go to the next slide, all right? Because we have a lot of things to cover tonight. All right. So in the process of communication, the third thing there is the message. All right. This is the information you are trying to pass. Okay, either a work email or you want to pass something across to someone. The message is the information you are trying to pass. All right. Since the initiator of the communication is called the sender, right? The message is the information you are sending. Okay, sorry, the message is the information you as the sender is trying to pass across to the receiver. Okay, so it means that between the sender and the receiver, what bonds you in the communication process is the message. All right, now we have the channel. The channel is the medium at which this information is passed. Okay, your channel can be virtually, your channel can be written, your channel can be non-verbal, your channel can be digital, right? Now, when we're talking about digital communication, you notice that the reason why a lot of brands hire digital designers is because design is also an aspect of communication. All right, it communicates your brand's values, it communicates your brand's identity, it just communicates a lot of things. All right, and then we have the receiver. All right, I know I've mentioned the receiver. This is the person or the group of persons who the message is directed to. All right, this is the person or the group of persons that the message is directed to. They are the intended recipients of the information being conveyed. All right, that this one is pretty simple to understand, so that we will rush up. Now we have decoding. This is the process of understanding or interpreting what the person is trying to say. Okay, so let me just read what I have on my slide. Decoding is the crucial step in the communication process where the receiver interprets and makes sense of the message received by the sender. Okay, now this part is very important because it controls how you react. Sometimes we say things like the way you write something and the way a person reads it, in between that process a lot of what is meant is lost. Okay, so somebody can be smiling and send a message, and because you are already pissed, you are receiving that message from a negative angle, and then you are replying with the anger in your heart, only for the person to say, oh no, I didn't mean it in that light. And because you are already upset, you don't even know how you can come back to apologize, apparently. Okay, so I hope this is very clear to understand. Mide, please, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Now, as professionals, right, because I don't want to bore us with the whole communication process, I just needed to lay that foundation. Now we have to go into another crucial aspect of communication that happens within the professional environment, right? And this is corporate communication. Now, what is corporate communication basically? Corporate communication is the flow of information within and outside an organization. So it means that for every brand you see, there are certain key components of communication that happens internally, and there are key components of communication that happens externally. Okay, now these are set of activities, strategies, and processes that organizations use to manage and facilitate communication both internally and externally. All right, now the word strategies here is very, very key, especially for the fact that we as professionals we don't get to get trained on these communication processes. So you notice that a brand is having an issue or they are having crisis, and you hear them say things like, please do not put this out there or do not let this get out. Do you get? I know most of us who work in the corporate setting, there are key company secrets that do not make it out of the organization. And now this is what we call internal communication. Internal communication happens between the stakeholders, team members, your team members, persons who are inside the organization. All right, these are like the cream of the crux of the brand. They are the ones that hold the company secret. They are the ones that are holding the company information. Now, external communication, on the other hand, I like to paraphrase it and call it packaging, right? Because it is what the company wants you to know. Do you get? Most times, a lot of brands allow their audiences to know what they want them to know. So a brand can actually be having crisis, and then they are putting out happy new month. They are putting out, on their social media platforms, they are putting out somebody that just got awarded, and then you are thinking that's how it is. But behind the scene, when the internal communication occurs, you'd notice that this brand can actually be going through a crisis, but because they are using their external communication, which is corporate communication, to attract their ideal audience, they want you to know what they want you to know. So, external communication is more of strategic communication because no brand wants their intending customer to see them as a weak brand, right? So, like I said here, corporate communication can be internal or external. Now, internal communication, like I've already said, flows within an organization, right? While external communication is the information that flows from an organization to those outside the organization. All right. Now, those outside the organization can be your target audience, your customers, all right, government organizations, and people who do not come into your everyday process, or who do not work in your workspace. They don't work in your office, right? They just interact with your brand from afar, basically. Now we have components of corporate communication. We have internal communication, external communication, crisis communication, media communication, and a lot more. But I just want to say a little about crisis communication before media goes to the next slide. All right, some of us here are probably in our job hunting or job early career era, but we do not understand that whatever skill you are learning at the moment, you are learning this skill to either build your own brand. And so, what I want to say is targeted to persons who are building their brand. And what this is simply learn to manage crisis. All right. Some of the very beautiful brands you admire crumbled because they couldn't manage communication during crisis. Crisis communication is what keeps you in business or what takes you out of business. Because the truth is, as a business person, you are going to encounter crisis. Whether you pray for it or you don't pray for it, it just comes to you as part of the icing on the cake as a business person. So the earlier you learn how to manage crisis, or the earlier you learn how to curtail your emotions in the time of difficulty, the better it is for your brand. Okay. So I hope this is really clear, and I would appreciate if media goes to the next slide. Thank you. All right, now we have here common challenges in tech communication. All right. The truth is, as tech professionals, communication is an inevitable problem. You can ask Google, you can ask Chat GPT, you can ask Bard, you can ask all the AI applications out or softwares out there. Communication is a challenge in the tech space, but we're not saying communication is a challenge in the tech space so that tech professionals would get scared or run away. We are saying that communication is an issue in the tech space, and we are trying to mitigate against these issues so that early tech professionals can build a sustainable career. All right, now I said here that communication issues among tech professionals is not peculiar to women alone. So, because this webinar is directed to women, it doesn't mean that communication issues are peculiar to women alone, because firstly, the tech space is a very male dominated space, so it's actually common or natural for women to tilt a little bit backwards when it comes to expressing themselves, because I mean, you are the only lady, or probably you are just two ladies in that work environment. So there is this constant check internally. Am I supposed to say this, or should I just let the guys do the talking and all of that? But the truth is that even the guys have their communication issues. Okay, so we need to understand that these challenges exist, and we also have to create practical strategies on how to overcome them. Now, how do you overcome things that you don't even know? That's where the next few points come in. All right, so what are the common challenges technical tech professionals face and non-technical tech professionals face? The first challenge is the complexity of technical concepts. I feel for most persons who are in their early career, the issue they face is communicating technical concepts to non-technical audiences. It's a big struggle, in fact. So I said it that this basically entails trying to pass technical jargons to non-technical audiences, such as stakeholders. Now, imagine you're an awesome designer. You have spent the first 1 year or 12 months of your learning process to hone your skill, and then you're on an interview, and the stakeholder is trying to tell you, okay, go straight to what is important. Skip all of this jargon and go straight to what is important. At that moment, you freeze, right? Because in your head, you're trying to process all your thoughts. You're trying to make him see that you are a professional by using the technical terminologies that are peculiar to your niche. But you're also trying to break the concept down in such a way that he appreciates it and he wants to buy the idea or either employ you. Now, this has actually become a top ranking issue among tech professionals. Okay, now, the second problem here is cross-functional communication, right? This simply means that you are going to be communicating with a diverse team of experts, right? For persons who are already in the tech space, you know that you cannot be the only Nigerian in your work environment. You cannot be the only American. You're going to have persons from all walks of life, right? And these persons actually have their methods of communication. They have the things that they interpret as respect. They have the things that they interpret as boundaries because we have corporate boundaries. All right. When communicating with people in a professional setting, there are corporate boundaries when you want to communicate with them. But because these things are contextually allowed in Nigeria, it doesn't mean that they are contextually allowed in a different country, right? So if you do not know these things and you overstep your boundary, I mean, you already have a team member that hates you because you don't know how to communicate to them. They are irritated by your presence. They see you as a very loud person, or they see you as a very obnoxious person. Who is this untrained buffoon? Do you get? Because these things are an everyday challenge that most tech professionals face because you are looking at persons who already have an existing work lifestyle and you're coming from your own background that is totally different from theirs. Now, how do you create a balance between what they are used to and what you are used to? This is where the cross functional communication issue comes in. All right, now we have remote communication. Before I proceed, I want to tell us a little story. I think I wrote this story here. I think I just wrote a brief of it. So I was working with someone who stayed in the US and then I'm in Nigeria. So for each time I get on a call with him, I'm always greeting him, good evening, sir. And he will say, it's morning. Okay, I was always greeting him good morning and he will say good evening. In my head, I'm like, but I'm in Nigeria, it's morning, right? For a while, I had to struggle to always check the time before I jump on a meeting with him. And this is where the remote communication issue comes in. The time zone thing. You want to sleep and they're waking you up for a stand up meeting. And you're looking at the time, it's 4 a.m. In issues like that, where you are probably worked throughout the night and then you have to join a meeting by 4 a.m., your communication at that point cannot be balanced because your brain is sleeping, but your body is awake. Okay, so remote communication challenge simply means time zones that can be the most difficult things when it comes to communicating in the tech space. All right, so yeah, this is the story I was telling us that I remember when I constantly greeted a client, good morning, sir, and he'll reply with good evening. It was awesomely embarrassing, I wouldn't lie, because for each time I felt like, can't you check the time? Can't you check the time? right? So I had to consciously use the general world clock to always check the time before I get on a meeting. And with time, I adjusted. But in the few instances when it happened, I was actually thrown off balance. And these things can actually affect the way we communicate at that instance. It can actually also affect our confidence level, right? And all of these things has to be placed in check. Okay, this is the last part of this slide. Mayday, please, can you help us? Okay, yeah. So the fourth issue we have is stereotypes and biases. Okay, now women in tech face stereotypes that question their technical competencies or leadership abilities. I think this is one of the things that affects women. As a woman who has been in a male dominated workspace, I can tell you for free that this is one of the things that affect women. They'll look at you like, what do you know? This is a bro infested sea, right? Tech alone is mainly for guys. They are the guys that wear the jean trousers, face caps, polos. And now, because of the inclusion that UN is trying to advocate, women are getting into male dominated work environments. But there's always that stereotype, like you're meant to be in the kitchen. A woman is better off in the kitchen. A woman is better off teaching. You're either teaching in a nursery school or you're teaching reading and rhyme in a kindergarten class. But coming out to prove that you are technically sound can actually be a challenge for women, right? Now, we have imposter syndrome. This is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved. All right, imposter syndrome is characterized by the feelings of self doubt and inadequacy despite evidence of success. Right now, you see a woman doing very well, and there are a lot of people who look up to her, but deep down in her heart, she cannot fully express herself because she feels like, am I doing too much? You know, there's this stigma of feeling like you are overdoing as a woman. And then, sorry, I don't know if there are persons who do not understand broken here, but I think I need to use this broken to explain this. They say, why you go to show yourself? Like, they show yourself, who send you? You know, and then all of those thoughts begin to make you feel like, I'm not good enough, or this thing, let me just suppress it. You're not supposed to suppress your success. If you work hard and you see results, please, by all means, be proud of your results, because it takes a lot of dedication and discipline for a woman to put her emotions together and see results. As women, there are days you will cry. After crying, you stand up and go and code. You stand up and go and design. You stand up and just do what you need to do. It's not easy. So celebrate your success and do not let imposter syndrome steal your joy or steal your shine. All right. So the next thing we have is communication overload. It happens all the time. It happens to the best of us, right? Now, I wrote it here that in tech environments where information flows rapidly and projects evolve quickly, communication overload can be a significant challenge. Right now, you have aggressive mails, meetings, and notifications can lead to information fatigue, you know, decreased productivity, and difficulty prioritizing critical tasks. All right. So information overload is practically or basically where there is so much information coming at you at the same time. And this is the reason why a lot of persons opt to learn under an academy like her Tech Trail, because the information is streamlined. You have a guide. But if you're starting out as probably a UI UX designer or you are a developer and you're just on YouTube trying to find information, you notice that there's information overload. All right, communication can actually be overloaded. All right, and sometimes these things actually affect our productivity. Okay, so media, please, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Now we have communicating with emotional intelligence. All right, this is where the talk for today is anchored. Before I get on what I have on my slide, I just want to tell us that emotional intelligence is your ticket to a successful career as a woman. The truth is, there are times when people will step on your toes as a means to crash your career. You have to be very sensitive. to a particular colleague that is always picking on you, a particular colleague that is always criticizing your design or always criticizing your code or always making you feel like you are not good enough, that can be a sign that this person is actually, on the go for your seat, especially in an environment where you are ahead of the person, right? If you are probably the team lead and you are supposed to lead men, you have to be very emotionally intelligent because they would want to spite you, they would want to trigger you, they want to get you to that point where you lose it. And the moment you lose it, they start throwing tantrums at you, right? As a leader in a male dominated environment, emotional intelligence is your ticket to a successful career. Now, let's go over to my slide. I said here that emotional intelligence or EQ, which is when we have a intelligence quotient, right? EQ is emotional quotient. In psychology, intelligence quotient and emotional quotient are in the cognitive realm of being able to interpret things. All right. Now, emotional intelligence or EQ refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions, as well as the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. Now, this is where I need to pitch my tent before we go forward. Being able to influence a person's emotion is not by force. You don't do it forcefully. You don't command people to respect you. You don't command people to, submit to your ideas, because the truth is the best you can do is suggest. When you suggest and people weigh it on a balance, even if you are the team lead, then they'll give you a feedback that is either positive or negative, or probably a maybe. Let's consider this. All right. So emotional intelligence is the ability to manage your own emotions and also manage other people's emotions in order to what? Scale. In order to have a balanced career, you have to be able to manage your own emotions. So you are thinking for two. In a place of pressure, these things might not come in immediately, but if you practice it consistently, you'd realize that in that space of pressure, how are you able to control your expression? Because people do not hold you by what you do not say, they hold you by what you say. All right. Now, emotional intelligence involves a set of skills that enables individuals to navigate social interactions, communicate effectively, and make sound decisions based on emotional awareness. This is where you hear people say, do not talk when you are angry. It takes emotional intelligence not to talk when you are angry. Because at that time, whatever you say, you are bound to regret it, right? And sometimes in a corporate environment, people do not care if you are right. They care about how you manage the brand's image. Because even as little as the gate man or the janitor in a work environment is important. So how are you able to manage your emotions? How are you able to, make informed decisions based on emotional awareness? You have to be aware. Okay, you have to be aware of where this person is coming from, right? This is why teaching communication cannot be exhausted in one webinar. The truth is that if you are going to be a woman in tech, you have to realize where is this person coming from. For every individual you meet in a work environment, they have a history, right? They probably might have had bosses that spoke to them wrongly. So they are always on the defensive. When they are communicating from a place of don't remind me of what I've been through. Don't tell me of that boss who made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So sometimes when people are giving you a reaction, it's not about what you said, it's about where they are coming from. It's about what they've handled, it's about what they've endured. So your actions can either trigger them or probably motivate them, because people also need motivation to be able to do a good work. All right. Now, in emotional intelligence, you have self awareness, there is self regulation. there's social awareness, and there's relationship management. So let's probably just call this the basic components of emotional intelligence. You have self awareness, being aware of your own self, your own temperament. We don't talk about temperament in the work environment because we think it doesn't matter, but it matters. Someone who is a choleric should double check their expression when they are angry because they have a tendency to shout. And when you shout at your colleague, even if you are the team lead, you are degrading them. You are bringing them to that point of they start rebelling you, they start resisting you. And the moment your colleague is resisting you, they would underperform and it will affect the project. This is why you see a lot of tech products they launch, but they don't stay because internally there are communication crises that is crashing the brand. All right, now you have self-regulation, the ability to control yourself. You have social awareness, right? Being able to sit on the observer seat and notice people's behavior. All right, I always tell professionals this: when you are in a new environment, sit on the observer seat. Don't be too keen to make friends, right? Observe how people interact and adjust, right? There's this saying, they say, know your place and act accordingly. Because you are in a corporate environment, that somebody is laughing with you doesn't mean they like you. Hello? That they are laughing with you, they are happy you're the team lead, they are celebrating you. It does not always translate to happiness. What's on a person's face is not always what is in their heart. So, as a woman in tech who is in an environment where men do not want to be led, you have to be aware, be socially aware. Even if you are the type of woman that makes friends easily, but you also have to be aware of where these men are coming from and the fact that they do not like being led by a woman. It's okay for a man to be led by a fellow man, but being led by a woman is something that men do not take lightly. So you have to double your game, all right? So let's move. Now, there's relationship management. Every healthy workspace or work environment thrives on relationships. So emotional intelligence helps you build your relationship with people. It also teaches you how to manage your relationships. Okay, so Media, please can we go to the next slide quickly? Thank you. All right, now we have components of emotional intelligence. Okay, now components of emotional intelligence simply refers to the skills and abilities that collectively make up an individual's in emotional intelligence. Okay, now we have self-awareness. I'm going to quickly run through this particular slide because I think I've already buttressed some of this. The only thing I need to talk about is empathy and social skills. Okay, so I'll just read number 1 and 2. So, self awareness is being conscious of one's own individuality. It is the ability to recognize one's emotions, strengths, and limitations, not just in communication, but generally. Okay. Socrates said, "Oh man, know thyself." Okay, so you have to know yourself. You have to know what you can permit and what you cannot permit. Okay, now we have self regulation. All right, now self regulation means managing emotions and responding in high pressure situations. Okay, now such as during presentations. Now the truth is that public speaking has been categorized as one of the most dreaded things professionals fear in a corporate environment. But the truth is that you cannot run away from it. I unapologetically announce to you that you cannot run away from professional presentations. So it means that you have to be a master at self-regulation. All right. This can also be known as the ability to keep one's emotions in check. I hear people say, I cry a lot. You can't bring that to a professional setting, right? You cry a lot, keep it at home. Cry at home. But when you come out and you are a team lead, you are assertive in your disposition, but you are also firm, right? You know what you want, but you say that respectfully. All right, now we have empathy. This simply means putting yourself in other people's shoes. All right, put yourself in other people's shoes. Sometimes, even if you have to be firm and you have to be the leader, you also have to come from that place of what is this person going through. You know how Nigerians say we they go through a lot. People are actually going through a lot. So if you're going to communicate as a woman in tech, especially as in the position of a leader, you have to embody empathy. You have to wear empathy like a cloth, right? You can actually correct someone without insulting them, can correct someone without making them feel stupid for being under you. All right. So it is the ability to feel the pain and discomfort of others, as well as provide genuine relief. Somebody is telling you, or somebody is underperforming, instead of going to their office to yell at them, you can actually call them and ask them, how are you? Right? And you're asking how are you, not because you want to use it and gossip, because sometimes people are scared of opening up because they don't know what people will do with their information. So instead of them to put themselves in that position where you would make them a laughing stock, they would rather just keep it inside. But then we also have to be sensitive that people relate with you based on how they see you relate with other people. So if I see you relating with other people in a very harsh manner, even if I'm dying inside and you come to show empathy, I would run. I would run with my 10 toes on my head, because I mean, you just treated this person badly. You just yelled at this person. How am I sure that if I tell you what I'm going through, you're not going to yell at me? All right. So empathy means putting yourself in other people's shoes. Okay. Now we have social skills. Now, social skills simply means navigating diverse communication styles, right? Resolving conflicts and fostering positive relationship in tech teams. All right. Do not be the antisocial team member, but always establish your boundaries. All right. At the crux of all of these things is balance. You have to be a balanced professional, right? If somebody is coming at you sexually and you are uncomfortable with that, please express your discomfort, but do it in such a way that you are firm and you are respectful. A lot of people are rude, and the moment you become too rude, they will frustrate you out of that seat. And we know how competitive the job environment is. All right. So please, media, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, now we have practical strategies for developing emotional intelligence. Okay, the first thing I need to let us understand is that all these skills, they don't come immediately. All right, so especially for the kind of educational structure we have in Nigeria, for persons who studied in Nigeria, we know that the 6334 academic structure makes you a listener. You don't talk. So all your life you've been listening. Now, when it comes to communicating or talking, you are struggling. And sometimes when you get trained on your technical skills, you don't get communication training. So you tend to take your personal behavior into the corporate environment, and it's leading to a lot of career destruction. So the first thing here is talk less. All right. Women who talk too much over time become irritating. In a work environment, people need as much sanity as they can get. So even if you are a sanguine, right? I'm not going to be talking about temperament because our time is fast spent. But I know that if you read why you act the way you do, you know that your temperament is what controls the way you behave. All right. So even if you are a sanguine, please learn how to control the way you talk. It is emotionally unintelligent to talk when people are trying to think, right? Being able to strategize, scale, and launch a tech brand or a tech product, it needs critical thinking. So don't be that team member that talks every second. And especially if you're working with guys, right? Guys would not want to offend you. They don't want to hurt your ego, but they would subtly let you know. They see you coming and they plug their earpiece or they wear their headset or they just give you that right smile, like, yeah, hi, what's up? And then they're facing their system and you're there trying to talk. No, it doesn't make sense. Please In practicing emotional intelligence or developing your emotional intelligence, talk less, okay? I said here that in building your emotional intelligence, you need to be a good student of active listening. Now, we don't know, active listening on its own is a different aspect of communication, but let me just break it down for us. Active listening is the ability to pay attention to what a person is saying in such a way that you can understand where they are coming from, interpret what they mean without your own internal biases coming into play, and giving a feedback that is neutral, right? Because if you have a biased mindset when you are communicating with someone, you might allow your own personal biases to come into play. All right, now the second thing here is always seek feedback, right? Communication isn't complete without feedback. It means that if you are talking or you have been in a team and you notice that the way people used to treat you is changing, ask for feedback. Really, don't be afraid to know what people think about you. It helps you become a better professional, especially if you have your go-to people, right? Your friends, your guys, your buddies, people that you can actually be vulnerable with. Ask them, what do you think about my personality? What do you think about the way I talk? Don't be afraid, because this is the feedback you need to either improve or to withdraw. All right, if they tell you, I feel you're too calm, then it's a signal that sometimes too you have to step out of your shell and just try to socialize. But if you hear them say, to be honest, you are a blabbermouth, it's also an indication that you need to draw back a little. Okay, now keep an open mind. Okay, what is an open mind? It means emotionally intelligent women are not moved by words because they always come with a prepared mind. All right, an open mind means not everybody will like you, but emotional intelligence says it is okay if they don't. All right. I hope this is clear. Not everybody will like you. Come to that work environment with, not everybody will like me, especially if you are a female team lead. Not every guy will like you, right? Whether you are big, you are small, you are fat, you are skinny. However, it's not about your shape. It's the fact that you are a woman and you are leading. They will not like you, but always come with that open mind that if they like me, fine. If they don't like me, fine. The main thing is I need to do what needs to be done. I need to get the job done. Okay. Now, the fourth strategy to develop emotional intelligence is to set boundaries. Even the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. So if you don't set practical boundaries as a woman, you would become the place where people dump anything. Okay, now I said here, as a woman in a male dominated niche, you oftentimes can be the stress release colleague. What does a stress release colleague? Men naturally tease women a lot in a work environment. So it's easy for you to start building emotions. Please be smart. The guy that is teasing you can have a serious girlfriend somewhere, but if the code he's writing is not coding, he will look for stress release. He wants to talk to somebody, he wants to just be around someone, right? You have to be emotionally intelligent enough to know when to set your boundaries and do not mix business with pleasure. For every woman that gets kicked out of a professional environment, it's probably because she didn't set her boundaries. So you see her probably getting into a relationship with the MD who is probably married or single, or those unhealthy relationships that you are not mature enough to handle. I'm not saying that getting into relationships with your male colleagues is wrong. What I'm saying is that it should be properly handled. All right. You should be able to set the boundary. You, as a woman, you teach a man how to treat you. So if a man can say anything to you, or he probably cools off around you, and this cool off is not leading anywhere, it's probably that you have indirectly communicated that you are available to be a cool off girl. So you are either verbally or non verbally communicating that you are cheap. And a cheap woman would always be a plaything in a male dominated environment. So I don't know, media, please, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, now this is the practical scenario. All right, I wrote down some practical scenarios because I told us that it's not going to be all talk and talk and talk. I actually had to pen down some practical scenarios so we see how we can use emotional intelligence, because I timed the presentation for exactly 1 hour, and if I'm very correct, if we had started at 7, this is 2 minutes past 8, and we have to go to our practical scenario. But I just want to, give us a brief summary, right? It might not be a summary that is in line with what is in this slide. I just want us to know that as a woman, you are capable of much more than you can understand. If only you are able to put your own emotions in check, right? Because the fact that women are naturally soft, we take these soft spots to the wrong places. And the wrong place to take your soft spot to is a work environment. If you're a woman that has anger issues, some of us probably grew up in a hostile environment, so anger issues are inevitable. If you have anger issues, please find a way to manage it. All right, find a way to put yourself in check. Because the truth is, it's easy for people to stain a woman. A man can have anger issues. He can shout, he can be loud, he can communicate in such a way that is very unruly, and he'll be forgiven. But a woman that communicates in that light, the first thing they'll say is, who go marry him? I'm sorry if you're not a Nigerian and you don't understand broken. It simply means, who will marry this one? Look at her, Oga boss. They'll start calling you as a woman, Oga boss, right? So you can still be firm but feminine. The whole idea of emotional intelligence is being firm and feminine. All right, understand what this person is trying to communicate and let your actions combined with few words counter produce what they intend. So a person can intentionally provoke you because they want to see how you would react, and then they can pounce on that reaction to wreck your career. But being emotionally intelligent is understanding that this person is not the person that brought me here. I'm not here because of them. So if you can, in the place of offense, please just smile. It's a very strong weapon that most people ignore. But when you are offended and you are at that point where you need to express yourself, and you know that if you say this thing, it might spoil things for you, just smile and let them think you are a fool. You know that novel they call She Stoops to Conquer? I don't know if we read it in secondary school, but I was a literature student, so I read a lot of books. I read She Stoops to Conquer. It's a book that taught about a lady who acted like she didn't know what she was doing and ended up marrying the king. That's how you win in a male dominated environment. You don't win by being overly expressive. You win by subtly communicating your boundaries, right? And staying professional. Okay, so let's go to a practical scenario. I want us to imagine these things in our head as I say them. So this first scenario is leading a team meeting to discuss a project deadline extension, right? For people who are developers and designers, you know that a project deadline extension means that if you had already taken up a previous client, you have to do more than one job at the same time, and these things can drain you. Okay, but in situations where it is beyond your control, this is what emotional intelligence looks like. So the team lead, I named her Becca. She comes up and she says, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's meeting. I know the recent project deadline extension has caused some frustration, and I want to address that upfront. It's important to acknowledge our feelings and concerns. So let's take a moment to discuss how you are feeling about this situation. Now, if you pay attention to the first words, or Becca's communication pattern, the key words to note here is it is important to acknowledge our feelings. This is empathy. You don't impose a deadline or a project on someone. You acknowledge that this person has plans. This person have has a personal life. Okay, so if your extension is going to intrude in their holiday, then you have to acknowledge that they feel disappointed because they might be disappointing somebody else, might be disappointing their girlfriend. We know that most tech professionals actually struggle to maintain relationships because when they are trying to concentrate, there's a girlfriend that feels like this man doesn't have my time. Do you understand? So the first few words of Becca shows that she acknowledges how they feel, and she also is interested in knowing how they feel about the situation. So this is her as a team lead asking for feedback. Now we have a team member by name Dre. Dre says, I am really disappointed that we have to push the deadline again. It feels like we are falling behind. Now, let's say that Dre is the developer, right? Dre feels like every time we are extending this deadline, and we've already put it out there in our corporate communication to our external audience that we are launching on the 13th of April. Now we have to come out and apologize to them that we'll not be able to launch. It feels like the brand is going backwards. Now Dre is disappointed. All right. Becca, who is the team lead, she says, I hear you. Right? People want to be heard. When you're communicating with people, they want to be heard. They want to know that you hear them. They want to know that you hear how they feel. Okay, so Becca says, I hear you. It's frustrating when things don't go as planned, especially when we have put in so much effort. Let's use this meeting to brainstorm solutions and come up with a plan to move forward together. Now, she's actually practicing inclusivity. All right. When she says, let's move forward together, it means that I'm not imposing it on you. I'm open to suggestions. And that's why I told us that feedback is very necessary when you are communicating with people. All right. So she wants to hear how they feel, and she wants to move forward with them together. This is you putting yourself in other people's shoes. This is Becca practicing empathy. Okay, now there's another team member, which is Sarah, and she says, I appreciate that. It's reassuring to know that our concerns are being heard. Okay, now the truth is, if you don't create an environment for feedback, you would not know how people feel, right? Because the team lead has already shown that she's open to them expressing themselves. Sarah felt comfortable enough to show her appreciation, and she felt reassured that her team lead is actually concerned about their own feelings. Right now, Becca goes forward to say, absolutely, Sarah, your feedback is invaluable, and I want to assure you that we address any challenge as a team. Now, let's dive into the agenda and discuss how we can adjust our timeline to meet our goals effectively. Now, you see that these team members are in a better mental state, all right, because the truth is that a corporate environment can be frustrating, it can drain your mental health, especially if you do not have a team lead that is considerate. Now, imagine if you are the female team lead who is inconsiderate, and you just come out and say, okay, the management has agreed that the project deadline has been extended by 2 weeks. In the next 15 minutes, we'll be having a stand-up meeting to brainstorm solutions. You are a bossy person because you do not consider how the persons who will be executing these tasks would feel. You do not consider how their emotions would be triggered. You don't consider how your imposition will affect their personal lives. All right. So I don't know if this scenario is clear enough, but I want us to look at the team lead and the way she communicates. All right. You can bend anybody by how you communicate to them. You can make a man, let's just leave the professional setting. As women, you can make a man sign off his last money based on how you communicate to him, right? Because the way you speak to a person triggers emotions in them. So the emotion can either be positive or negative. If the emotion is negative, you get a negative feedback. All right. So because of our time, I know we will still have a question and answer session. So let's go to the second scenario. Okay. Mide, please, can you go to the second scenario? Okay. Now the second scenario is resolving a conflict within the team. All right. So resolving a conflict between two team members with different approaches. Okay, so Tina comes up and she says, "Hi, John and Sarah. I noticed some tension between you two regarding the best approach to solving the technical problem we are facing. I want to address it so that we can move forward together as a team." Now, we've heard move forward together in the previous scenario, and we are hearing move forward together again in this scenario because you alone cannot make up a tech team. No matter how technically sound you are, you have to work with people. Even if you are an all-rounder, you are a full stack dev, you are a designer, only you is community manager, no sane stakeholder would entrust the full product life cycle on just you because you are so good. So there has to be a team. Now, when communicating, you have to put those team members in view. Okay, this scenario is basically about a conflict between two persons. Now, you are the middleman. It's also important that when you are communicating, you try not to take sides, because the moment you start taking sides among team members, you are invariably creating that na them. I'm sorry if you are not in Nigeria. You know they have that thing people say, and her people or it's her person. And then the team member starts feeling like there's a coup happening against them. Okay. Now John here says, yes, Sarah, I have been butting heads on this issue. I think my approach is more efficient, but she disagrees. All right, now this is John, a man. He feels like because he's a man, his own idea is perfect. Okay, Sarah, on the other hand, which is the second team member here, says, I understand where John is coming from, but I believe my approach is more thorough and less prone to errors. Okay, now these are two team members who are experts. Okay, probably they've had different experiences where these things come up, and so they are trying to bring in their experiences and how they solved it. But two people being right does not translate to a positive solution. Okay, now Tina, who is the emotionally intelligent person or the emotionally intelligent team lead? And she doesn't even have to be a team lead. Forgive me if I'm always using team lead, but as a team member, you are responsible for the life of your team. Okay, whether you are a team lead or just a team member, or you are a community manager or a product manager, whatever position you occupy within an organization, you are responsible. So you have to be a responsible professional. You have to be responsible for the vision of the brand. If you do not want people to take your own brand for granted, then be responsible enough to take responsibility for another person's vision. Okay, Tina here says, thank you both for sharing your perspectives. It's clear that you both care deeply about finding the best solution for the project. Let's take a step back and evaluate the pros and cons of each approach together. Now, this is also emotional intelligence playing out. Remember, I told us don't take sides. It means that in not taking sides, you have to hear from both parties. I remember earlier I talked about our mental biases. All right, maybe because Tina is a lady. I mean, Sarah and Tina are the two ladies in the team, and then John is the only guy. Because you guys are ladies, you are prone to have gist. You're prone to have that bond, right? Because you're same gender. And then there's no how you can talk to someone consistently that they don't become your friend, even if you're being professional. Now, if you're not emotionally intelligent enough to give a fair hearing, you can actually make John get on the defensive. Okay. So it also means that in being emotionally intelligent, you have to listen to both parties. Okay. Now she continues by saying, by combining your strengths and ideas, I am confident that we can come up with a solution that satisfies everyone. Okay. So it means that if both parties prefer a, let me say, a one page Google Docs solution, you can take the introduction of one person and use the ending of the other person and combine it together to make a delicious food. At the end of the day, it's not about who brought the idea, it's about, are we making progress? All right. So if you're not making progress because you people are having a clash of ideas, then the brand will suffer. The project will suffer. Who is right doesn't matter. What matters is the product, the team, the brand. Are we making progress? So sometimes it's important that as a team member, as a team lead, as a new recruit, as an intern, be on the listening side. And when you are communicating, please hear from both parties, right? Because a story is never complete until the both parties share their points of views. Okay. Now, in conclusion, I wrote here that each of these scenarios, um, the woman in tech demonstrates emotional intelligence by acknowledging emotions, expressing empathy, providing constructive feedback, and fostering collaboration and understanding among team members and stakeholders. Okay, so as a staff, you are a stakeholder in a brand. All right. I'm really sorry I didn't go in depth into explaining the persons involved in internal and external communication. But as a staff, when it comes to the integral part of a brand, you are a stakeholder, right? You have a say in how a brand should function as long as your employment is valid. So if you're working in a brand for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, the duration you stay in that brand, your ideas are valid. And as far as your ideas are valid, you have a share in how the brand turns out. This makes you a stakeholder. Okay, I'm very sure that the next slide should be question and answer. Okay, so yes, I am very sure. So if there are questions, Mide, please could you help us take questions?
I honestly didn't want this session to end.
Oh my God, you will pay for a class,
I honestly didn't want this session to end. I don't know
but it
about the
had to
others,
end.
but for me, I honestly didn't want this session to end. So we'll be taking just two questions because of time. So if you have a question, please leave it in the comments and she would attend to it. So I'll be passing the mic now to Ayomide. Hi, Mide, are you here? Hi,
Hello,
Mide.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello, am
Yes,
I
we
clear
can.
enough?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So I'm looking through the comment section, and I would like to say that Mary Gold is the gold right now because everybody likes, are loving, and they are learning so much value. And you know that a
Thank
facilitator
you.
did
Thank
a really good
you.
job when there is no question, literally.
There's no question. Oh my God.
Yes. Everybody is saying how much they love you and they are thanking you and how much they loved it. And someone even said it's worth her data and her time.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much for an amazing feedback. I appreciate.
Always welcome. I also learned a new thing. So Anne, I'm properly communicating to you to please send me 2 rams and a chicken. Okay, someone is asking if you have books or suggestions for those that want to read or learn about communication and emotional intelligence for our own personal consumption.
Okay, the question is if I have books or what?
Any books, a book or any insightful, article that could help her learn communication in her own free time.
Oh, okay. For communication, I don't know. I didn't get to hear from Mrs. Anne if it's okay to put this out there, but I feel I would communicate to Mrs. Anne and then she would give us the necessary information. Okay, I would actually make a list of books we can read and then every other information I would have to speak to Mrs. Anne first before I can say it. Okay.
Okay.
But definitely she's going to get books recommendation. Okay. She would get.
Okay. Um, Someone asked the question. She typed it now. How do you cope being an introvert team lead in a corporate setting?
Okay, I was waiting for this particular
It's a
question
chaos.
actually because the truth is Nigerian setting women have been trained to be introvert because it feels like oh men prefer reserved women. Okay, the truth is you can't throw away your personality, but I feel in most cases introvert women actually perform better as team leads. Why? Because they are critical thinkers. So being an introvert is not a problem. It's knowing when to communicate what needs to be communicated. Being introverted is dangerous when you know that the situation is going to destroy the brand. At that moment, you are supposed to step up and take charge. Now, taking charge doesn't mean you have to shout, like I said earlier. It means you can probably call a round table meeting or a stand up meeting and you address what needs to be addressed. Remember that emotional intelligence teaches us to communicate in such a way that we are being feminine, but we are being firm. All right. So, being an introvert is not a problem, it's just knowing what to communicate and when to communicate it. Okay, if a particular issue is going to cause a problem and you've seen it as someone who the organization found capable enough to sit on the seat of a team lead, you know that potential issues can lead to a product or a project crash. You have to address it in a mature way. You have to address it in a
Hello,
meeting setting.
Marigold.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Hello,
Hello?
Marigold. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, Marigold. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Marigold. Oh my God. Network.
Yes. Hello, Mide. Hello? Hello? Mide,
Hi,
can you hear
Marigold.
me?
I think she had a network glitch. You can just go on, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you can go on. We can hear you. So just go on. I think Ayomide had a network glitch. So you can just go on, please.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yes,
So,
yes.
like I was saying, I don't know the last thing you heard before I got cut off, but in summary, for this particular question, what I'm saying is being introverted sometimes is an advantage, especially when you are dealing with men, right? You don't just talk, you sit critically to analyze the situation and you look for the best communication medium to pass the information, especially if it's a sensitive information. All right. So I hope this answers your question. If it doesn't, please, you can still drop it in the chat, and I think Mrs. Ann would inform me, please.
Okay. Hi, ladies. Good evening once again. This section was really, 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 really educative. It was enlightening. I also got to learn a whole lot of things from everything that Marigold had to say. So, thank you very much, Marigold. Thank you for taking out time to educate us on communication and helping us always for helping us um learn how to communicate in a work environment, learn how to be firm but feminine. I got a whole lot of value. I had a whole lot of things. I learned new things as well, and I'm glad I didn't get to miss this session. So thank you very much. So I've been dropping the attendance form. Remember, we talked about you attendees getting a badge. So I'm sure we all learned so much. So we are going to test you to know if you were actually listening and if you would actually put what you've learned into practice. That was why we asked that you fill out the attendance form. So with the attendance form, we'll get a hold of your emails and we'll be sending you a quiz. The quiz will be open for 24 hours. So make sure you get to fill it immediately you receive it. And at the end of 24 hours, we get to review it, and a good number of you will be getting badges. That is those people who are able to answer the questions correctly. You'll be getting badges for participating and badges for I wouldn't want to say communications experts because it's Mirigo that is a communications expert here. But you get you get a badge for participating and attendance. So let's do well to keep an eye on our emails in case the for when the quiz will be sent. So I'll be sharing the link once more. So if you want to read more about communication, you want to learn more about communication, um, please, 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 I would want you to follow Marigold on LinkedIn. She's active on LinkedIn, so you can follow her on LinkedIn. Um, she gets to put out valuable content on her platform, so you get to follow her as well. I've dropped a link to her profile. If you're not following her tech on any of our socials, please do that. And not just on the socials, I'm encouraging us to also subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are trying to introduce the community learning where you get to learn something valuable every month for free. So if you're not part of the academic member, you can always attend our community learning where you get a whole lot of value, just like you've gotten from this session today. So let's all do well to subscribe. And next time, please, I'm sure you learned a whole lot. All of you are just showing so much as excitement. Next time, let's do well to share this event link with our friends, with our sisters, with our colleagues, with our neighbors, and our roommates, and every other person. I think Ayomide is back. Let me give her a mic before she'll come and flog me. This one that she's not even smiling. Hi, hi, Mide.
I was reading through the comment section. That was my work face. That's how I look when I'm working. So you said
Okay, so I'm handing the mic over to you. You can go ahead.
so everything she said is totally true. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channels, follow us on social media, always stay up to date with information because we want to integrate the act of us sharing our knowledge to the world. So we don't want only the alumni, our alumni or our chapter leads, to benefit or enjoy. And by the way, you could also join the community if you are not there. The form will be sent soon, so you'll be having access to join the community of other women where you can share your issues. Share. We can even whip your boss together in our heads because we're a community of women, right? And meet wonderful women in the community. That being said, without wasting much of our time, I hope you all learned how to communicate properly, nicely, and with empathy in between. I think my boss and academy director and beautiful soul have said most of the things to introduce you properly about the feedback form being sent out and the need why being subscribed on our YouTube channel is really, really, really key and important. So I think I'm going to say have a nice day from my end. Is there any other thing you have to say, Academy Director?
Nothing from my end. Just enjoy the rest of your weekend. For our academy members, remember to attend classes this weekend. If you're not part of the Tech Trade community, the last link I just dropped will direct you to a form. So fill it and be added to the community so you don't get to miss out on important information, and you also don't get to miss out on getting information about value packed events just like this.
Exactly.
I wish you all a very beautiful weekend, and
Yes.
I hope, just like Mary Gold said, you would be feminine, you will be firm, and you would communicate with a very good emotional intelligence. So, from
And you
me
did not
is
respond. Don't leave. Yes. You did not respond to my communication. I want it on live. Two cows and two live chickens. That is all I need. This is me communicating properly.
from me it's good night, bon
Good
nuit.
night. Abuento. Bye.
All right, ladies. Good night, everyone.